Hello everyone and welcome to another video review from 3DGameMan.com. I'm Rodney Reynolds and today I'm having a look at a budget case from SilverStone. It is their RL05 model. Now while it is budget, it does look pretty sweet and has lots of features. Like for example, you can install long video cards, tall coolers. They include fans. You can install more. There's water cooling support. The list goes on and on. Now have a look for yourself. I think the overall styling, fit and finish and build quality on this is very acceptable considering the price. On the left side panel, you've got a very large window. At the front, it's mesh. You've got these red accents here on either side. At the bottom front is their SilverStone logo, and here on the top left is the power button, reset button, LEDs. On the right you've got two USB 3 ports and the audio jacks, as well as a Type C USB connector. And yes, it does come with a 5.25-inch drive bay. At the top, they include a dust filter on the inside. These are thin dust filters which literally pop on and pop off. There's nothing super fancy about them, but at least they do include dust filters. And you can fit either two 120 or two 140 millimeter fans at the top, or you can fit a 120, 140, or 280 millimeter radiator. Now thankfully this front panel comes off easily by pulling at the bottom, but be careful because there are a few cables attached. The one at the top actually disconnects, but the other one, well, they don't. So again, just be cautious. In here you can fit up to two 120 or up to two 140 millimeter fans, and as you can see, they do include two 140 millimeter red LED intake fans, plus a removable dust filter. And note all of the cable management holes here at the front. Oh, and by the way, you can install an 80 millimeter fan at the front as well. Now while the left panel has a gorgeous large window, the right side panel is plain. At the back you can install an optional 120 millimeter fan. Here's where the I/O shoe plate gets installed. They include 7 ventilated expansion slots, extra ventilation, and at the bottom you can install a standard ATX power supply, and they do have rubber rests for the power supply to lodge on as well. They include 2 thumb screws on each side panel. Now the case measures in at 210 by 465 by 450 millimeters and weighs 5.9 kilograms. On the inside you can fit a micro ATX or standard ATX motherboard up to 12 by 10.5 inches in size. On the motherboard tray you got a large hole for the cooler's retention plate, and there are some holes here to route cables through and punch outs on the other side of the motherboard to organize those cables. Now speaking of cables, you can hide most of them from the power supply and the drives with this massive shroud here at the bottom. That is a definite plus and will clean things up. Some ventilation here as well. Now you can fit up to 4 2.5-inch drives or up to 2 3.5-inch drives. And as I mentioned before, they do include a 5.25-inch drive bay, and it does have a toolless design. Now let's go through the clearances. Behind the motherboard tray, you've got around 15 millimeters of space. That's ample to route all kinds of cables. Get them out of the main part of the case, tuck them behind the motherboard tray just to tidy things up. This does have a window, so that's kind of important. You can fit a video card that is up to 14.7 inches in length. That's around 370 millimeters. A power supply that's up to 220 millimeters in length, and a cooler that is up to 165 millimeters tall. There are no thumb screws on the expansion slots, rather regular screws. Oh, and these 2 thumb screws will allow you to move the plate so you can install cards in the expansion slots. Now the fan leads are flat and flexible, and they come with 3-pin connectors. With the right side panel removed, you can see the punch outs on the back of the motherboard tray, along with the cable management holes. Back here you can fit 2 2.5-inch drives on these brackets. Just remove a single thumb screw to take off the bracket, install the drive, and put it back into place. And by the way, you can actually reposition these brackets to the inside of the case on top of the power supply shroud. As well, you can fit up to 2 2.5-inch or up to 2 3.5-inch drives here. To remove this plastic drive rail, pinch on either side and insert the drive and put it back into place. At the bottom there are 4 all plastic feet. Rubber inserts or rubber feet definitely would have been preferred. but they are rather tall, and this will allow the bottom power supply's fan to do its job and intake cool air. Thankfully, though, they do include a removable dust filter. Now, while this case isn't going to blow anyone's mind, it's not really intended to. This is a budget case, meant to be affordable, but have lots of features, and it does. Plus, this red theme. Remember, they do include two 140mm red LED fans, a large window. You can fit long video cards and plenty of hardware on the inside, and for most of us, that's what we want, and we want it at a reasonable price. So this is what the RL05 case from SilverStone offers. Overall, it is a great product. Until next time, take care. Well, that's it, but I hope you enjoyed the review, and if you think this and other videos that I produce are great, please like them, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, your comments are very welcome, and if you have any questions, let me know.